SSS alerts public to be wary over possible terrorist attack during Salah festival. Nigerian Labour Congress opposes federal government over planned electricity tariff increment. Joe Biden and Narendra Modi hail deafening US and India partnership. Today is 5th Zulhijjah 1444 after the Hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is equivalent to 23rd June 2023. I am Salamatu Al-Liman with the news at 4. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said Nigeria is not only ready for business but also prepared to welcome investment. The president said this yesterday in France capital Paris while receiving President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of African Export-Import Bank, Professor Bernard Oroma, and President of European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Odili Ronald Basu, in separate meetings on the sidelines of the Summit for New Global Finance and Pact. The president adding that the ongoing reform started with removal of fuel subsidy and streamlining of exchange rates will be sustained for a more competitive economy that attracts foreign direct investment. He urged investors to take advantage of opportunities in Nigeria. In another development, the persons with disability have written an open letter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu urging him to prioritize their inclusion in his cabinet appointment to foster an inclusive and representative government. The convener of Disability Inclusion Nigeria, a non-governmental organization, Jake Ekbele, made this known yesterday in Abuja during a media conference. He said that the letter had been dispatched to the office of the president. He said that it was an unfortunate reality that the persons with disability in Nigeria often face significant barriers to accessing basic rights and opportunities. According to Ikbele, the experiences and insight of the persons with disability can greatly contribute to the development and implementation of policies that address the specific needs and challenges faced by the community. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria is committed to eradicate variant polio virus by the end of this year. This is even as one of the richest people in the world, Bill Gates, reiterated the commitment of his foundation to commit $7 billion to Africa in the next 4 years. Also, African entrepreneur Aliko Dangote said only concrete decisions by Nigerian leaders will see them to the actualization of the Sustainable Development Goals. They spoke yesterday during a meeting attended by sub-governors under the auspices of the Nigerian Governors Forum at the Banquet Hall Presidential Villa, Abuja. To be recalled that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had in November 2022 said it was committed $7 billion to Nigeria and other African countries over the next 4 years. The foundation said the pledge, which is up to 40% on the amount spent during the previous 4 years, will target many issues, among them hunger, diseases, poverty, and gender inequality. The State Security Service SSS in Abuja has warned members of the public to be wary of terrorist attack as they herald the Eid Kabir celebration. Spokesman of the agency, Peter Afunanya, stated that reports reaching it indicated plans of attack on worship and recreational facilities before and during the festivities. According to him, the reports are corroborated by the recovery of primed improvised explosive devices from suspected terrorists during a joint operation by the department and its sister security agencies. He also said that the department conducted raids on criminal hideouts in Kogi and Nasarawa State this week in collaboration with the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Police Force. Mr. Afunanya added that the operation along Abuja-Kefi Expressway in Kefi local government area of Nasarawa State led to the arrest of a suspected gun runner. He enjoined operators and patrons of public places, including markets and malls, to be watchful and report any suspicious movement and persons to relevant agencies. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Trade Union Congress (TUC), and civil society organizations (CSOs) has rejected the planned 40% hike in electricity tariff, which takes effect on 1st July, calling on government to shelve the increase. While the NLC described the proposed increase in tariff as insensitive and callous, TUC said it is the height of insensitivity to the suffering of the masses of the country. On their part, civil society organizations asked government to immediately shelve the proposed tariff hike, describing it as unfair and unjustifiable. It will be recalled that in announcing the tariff increase, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) had said the current service-based tariff was benchmarked on an exchange rate of 441 naira and inflation of 16.97%. It urged that since the value of the naira to the dollar now hovers above 700 naira and current rate of inflation at 22.45%, it was necessary increase tariff to mitigate operators' cost of operation. The union, in a statement by the president, Comrade Joe Ajero, advised government to shelve the proposed tariff hike in the collective safety of the masses. The news is coming to you from the studios of Saba Radio, mornings after the short break. Welcome back. You're still into the services of Saba Radio 104.9 Hadija. Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi expressed worry over high level of absenteeism and lateness to work among civil servants in the state, including permanent secretaries. He called for a change of attitude among civil servants for the state development. He said that these during an unscheduled visit to some government offices in Dulce, the state capital, where the governor met only 3 permanent secretaries and the accountant general, as well as few directors. A senior officer from the Office of the Head of Service and Conditional Anonymity said the governor directed them to the list of absentees. Governor Namadi was at the secretariat about 11:30 a.m. and went round the ministries and agencies in the complex, where he remained till noon, only to discover that only few workers, mostly messengers, cleaners, and junior staff, were present. Bilyaminu Usman Polytechnic Hadija has matriculated 444 new intakes in its 16th matriculation ceremony for 2022-2023 academic session. Administering the oath of allegiance on the new admitted student, the director of the institution, Professor Zekifelu Abdul, traced its history, which began as College of Agriculture under Kazauri Polytechnic in 1992 and was upgraded to Polytechnic status by former administration of Badaru Abubakar in 2015. He explained that the institution was registered to full-fledged Polytechnic by the National Board for Technical Education that made it to benefit from Tertiary Institutions Trust Fund. Professor Zekifel Abdul commended Jigawa State Government for the infrastructure, recruitment of qualified lecturers, and manpower on non-academic staff provided for the institution. Also speaking, the registrar, Dr. Abubakar Muhammad, congratulates the students and urged them to fully comply with rules and regulations outlined by the governing council of the institution. The National Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Jigawa State Command, says despite continued attacks on its personnel during operations, it will not relent in its effort to ensure drugs abuse-free society. The commandant of the agency, Alhaji Muazu Aliyu Dan Musa, made this known today at a press briefing to mark International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking at the agency's office in Dulce. He explained that the agency was able to confiscate 922 illicit drugs traffickers in the state this year, comprising 109 males and 13 females, while 44 were sentenced to various jail terms in correctional centers. Alhaji Muaz Dan Musa said in its effort to save the youth and Jigawa State from the menace of evil acts of drug dealers, it engaged in a routine operation from June last year to date that led to the arrest and seizure of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. Senator Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State has distributed 500 rams to his neighbors and less privileged families in Talata Mafara town, Talata Mafara local government area of the state for Eid al-Kabir celebration. The chairman of the distribution committee, Sha'aya Sarikin Fawa, disclosed this while presenting the ram to the beneficiaries in Talata Mafara yesterday. Sarikin Fawa, a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, APC in the state, commended the former governor for his various socio-economic intervention programs supporting people at the grassroots. He called on Muslims to use the Eid al-Kabir period to pray for peace and stability in the state and Nigeria at large. Now to international scene. The United States President Joe Biden hailed United States-India ties while rolling out the pomp and pageantry for visiting Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday. These include marching bands, a lavish vegetarian dinner, and a 21-gun salute on the south lawn of the White House. Mr. Modi, who is on a state visit, also addressed the U.S. Congress, where he received a standing ovation. The United States would deny the visa to Mr. Modi over human rights concern before he was Prime Minister, now sees him as a kosher ally. Washington has long viewed India as a counterbalance to China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific, although Delhi has never been fully comfortable with owning the tag. When addressing Congress, Mr. Modi did not mention China by name, although he mentioned dark clouds of cohesion and confrontation casting their shadows over the Indo-Pacific. That has been the news. Before I go, a recap of the major stories. From the news overhead, SS alerts public to be wary over possible terrorist attack during Salah festival. Nigerian Labour Congress opposes federal government over planned electricity tariff increment. Joe Biden and Narendra Modi hailed defining pardon US and Indian partnership. That has been the news on behalf of the news department. Our continuing announcer, Halimatan Ibrahim. I am Salam Tunod Aliman saying good afternoon.